Hello there, Qckslvrslash, and today I have a replay for you of me driving the recently retired, or at least for now, from the premium shop, the Tier 7 Polish Grom-class destroyer, the Błyskawice. And I actually only recently picked this up myself, right before they removed it. You know, they put all the announcements out, changing up what's available in the premium shop for at least the time being. I don't think it's ever permanently going away. But I wanted it. You play against it so much in the last season of Ranked. I drove my Sims, as I mentioned, and you always came up against this thing, and it's just got so many guns. 4 barrels and 2 turrets back aft, and another 3 barrels up front. And unlike all those Russian destroyers, well, except, you know, the premium Tier 5 that Wargaming doesn't necessarily like to talk about, she can stealth fire her torpedoes, 7.5 kilometers stock detectability, 8 kilometer torpedo range. So it makes her a much more effective ship than I feel the Russians were. You know, in Ranked, saw a couple Kievs and they just never really managed to do well. You know, they could come around a corner and assassinate something, but they paid their life to do it. Now, one of the things that I kind of hate about Two Brothers is it's one of the maps that just always frustrates me because teams can't seem to make up their mind. Half the time you spawn in and you get what's happening right now, where a group of the team has just kind of gone to the cap that you start with. The rest is kind of grouped up on the other side, but they're not pushing in because there's a destroyer and cruiser there, so clearly they're outnumbered, you know. 2 against 5, we gotta back off. Meanwhile, the couple of us who came to this side have 2 destroyers, a group of battleships, a cruiser, and I see that and I've just got to get out. I cannot drive out and eat that, and apparently my decision to get out of the way of fire was to dock in this cute little town. But turned out to be effective as I'm not getting shot at, so that's always nice. So right now, I've got to make a decision. Do I leave this side and do a running fight where I kind of just try to slow them down and hope that my team, who have overwhelming numbers on that other side, actually decide to push? Or do I play a little more active? And in a gunboat, I'm going to play active. I'm going to stand and fight. You can see something in that smoke just got hit by a friendly torpedo, and maybe this Qckslvrslash will be pretty awesome if he did. No, he managed to duck him. But having seen that Gneisenau get hit, he was actually flying Goomba's torpedo. He said they were flooding, which means they've probably repaired it, so if we can get a fire on this Gneisenau, it's gonna stick and actually start to add up and do damage. So that's exactly what I'm trying to do, while avoiding the flurry of shells raining down on me. Just look at all that. And I suspect a lot of this is actually that Bismarck secondaries, because when you get the Bismarck with all the range mods and everything, the secondaries fired 10.6 kilometers, and I'm sure people have figured out ways to push that just slightly farther, which is insane, and I'm going to have a review of the Bismarck coming up shortly. I'm just trying to really get a full feel of the ship before putting that review out, because there's no rush. So one of the things the Bliss does so well is bombard from smoke. I tried to lay a screen to cover Goomba so he could get away. Unfortunately, my engines broke, so it didn't end up as long and didn't end up obscuring him, and he's gonna eat it up here. So I've got to try to make all those enemy ships pay for killing my division mate. See that enemy Bliss coming in, and I honestly wasn't looking at the map at this point. I was so focused on shelling that Gneisenau that until my teammate pointed out, hey, there's a bliss right there, I'm like, oh, crap. Put a volley into him, 3,000 damage, and he's dead, and that Bismarck is just inside torpedo range and just outside detection. So I put shells at him, hoping to light a fire, really just praying that he's one of those battleship drivers who, the second they start burning, uses their damage control, and then hopefully these torpedoes will hit and cause some major flooding damage. Though it doesn't look like he is in any rush to put that fire out, which is unfortunate, but what's at least fortunate for me, he is one of those battleship drivers who loves to drive in long straight lines when there's destroyers around. I honestly think he just didn't know I had 8-kilometer torps. And as you can see, as we followed these shells in, there's 1, 2, and I'm gonna get a third. Big damage there, knocking him down to 18,000 as he finishes off Flying Goomba. Once again, dying before the battle's over in one of my replays. I feel bad, because every time I pick one, it just seems to happen to him. So I'm really at this point going to focus on this Bismarck. He had to have put those floods out, so I want to light fires, like I was saying. If you get a fire to stick, it's just going to tick away. And he's already used one of his repair parties, used his damage control. And you can see, this is not going well for our team. My whole team's basically sitting in B with 1 or 2 people just will drive out, get picked off, and die. And I honestly have no frickin' clue what this Farragut is doing. He was driving straight at me, he puts some shells off, and then just stopped shooting. Clearly he's turning to put torpedoes in the water. But that only takes a second or 2. And yet, he never starts shooting at me again. He probably could have gotten in 2,000-3,000 damage there, depending on fires and RNG of where they hit. And yet, nothing. I have no idea what he's thinking, but it's a free kill for me. And I guess I can't really complain.
Enemy destroyer blown up.
So already 141 shells in. 2 kills and just shy of 84,000 damage, and this battle's not over yet. We're way behind on points. We're only 2 ships down, theoretically, but you're gonna see my team will just start to evaporate. They never pushed the advantage when they had numbers over there, and now that they're getting picked off one by one, you can see from what is spotted, it's now 5 on 4, and it is me and that Nagato, and not too sure what this Nagato was thinking here. He's on good health, the Nagato's got some great guns, and he just goes nose in and starts closing this group of ships. A Qckslvrslash, a Bismarck, he's got a Gneisenau way there in the back, all just gunning at him. And that's not a fight you're ever gonna win. He should have tried to keep his range and let me get torps into the water at these guys, and hopefully knock one of them out before he perishes. And just look at his health melt off. I try to get close enough to put torps at the Bismarck, pop my spoke, and I'm just going to do everything I can to try to help this Nagato out. I had thought about trying to get close enough and smoke him, but the reality is, by the time I got there, I would have been spotted, and that Qckslvrslash would have ripped me to pieces at the 4 or 5 kilometer range I would have had to have gotten to try to smoke that Nagato up. And it kind of sucks when you're unable to help. You know, it would have been really nice to have put him in a smoke screen and maybe prolonged his life, but he definitely didn't make things easy for me or himself by charging at a bunch of higher tier ships like that. So I'm just going to continue to use these great guns and just really try to rip apart that Bismarck. I get a fire, he puts it out, so at this point, if I can get one more, I can stop shooting, I'm good to go, and he'll be dead. Unfortunately, RNG sometimes has other plans. Lucky for me, he is spotted by a friendly New Orleans over here, and he ends up running aground, so I kind of guess where he is based on that little bit of mast sticking out. And I'm just going to focus him down, try to get at least one more ship back in our favor. And I'm quite surprised here that Qckslvrslash hasn't been shooting at me yet. You know, I'm sub 10 kilometers, which is really optimal range for engaging a destroyer. But he's just focused on our New Orleans, who sadly really didn't do much this entire game. He basically just hung out behind the entire team, and I mean, the whole team just stayed right back, never pushed into any of the caps, and this one, it's gonna end up being a bit of a heartbreak because I was really playing my butt off trying to help this team win. And at this point, I just don't have the option to push in. I got the torpedoes out, I'm using my guns while I can, but I've got to just open up and break contact because I've only got 1600 hit points left, and anything else would be suicide.
Engine boost activated. The enemy team has taken the lead.
So while this game slowly ticks away and we're not coming back from this, I'd just like to kind of plead to those of you who watch this channel, like, when you're playing on Two Brothers, do some quick math based on what's spotted, and if you're outnumbering the enemy team, as a group, use chat, act like a team, and push in and really pare down the inferior numbers before they have a chance to just one by one pick ships off. So often you see these groups of individuals that just lose the game. You know, the group that plays as a team uses chat to talk to each other, you know, listens to people who have legitimate ideas, and they're gonna do better. But part of using that chat is you can't be a dick. You know, if you go out, the second someone doesn't agree with you, you go, oh, your mother. You're not helping your case. No one's going to listen to someone like that. But if you present a rational case in chat and you know, trying to help out, listen to some of those people. There's some amazingly talented people in this community, and sometimes someone just sees something on the map that you're not reading, a situation. You know, they're not really thinking about the point total at the end of the game and going, oh, hey, I don't have to do anything. I can drive away. And even though we only have one cap, we're going to win this before they manage to make up the points. You know, you can get tunnel visioned in on like, oh, I got to save the day now. Time to get a cap. And right now in this game, I'm just trying to prolong the inevitable, hoping I can get, you know, at least capture Alpha, get myself a little more experience and money and everything for solo cap in this point, but this game was over before it even began because we weren't a team. Our whole group of people just sat back and let one person after the other get picked off. And absolute heartbreak. A loss. But, you know, you kind of expect it when a team behaves like that. Made just about 459,000 credits in this ship, 3,200 experience on a loss, 652 3 XP, just shy of 105,000 damage, 221 shell hits, 3 torpedoes, I sank 3 ships. I just couldn't get the fires though, that's what really stunk. Top of the team, 1,442 base experience, and you can see where some of our bigger ships are. New Orleans, the Prince Eugen, and then the Tirpitz was back up the top, but you know, you need your top tier ships to really contribute or you're gonna lose. I felt I did the right thing. I hunted down that Bliss and Farragut and really tried to focus fire on things to knock them out, but you can never do anything entirely yourself. It's a team game. You know, that's one of the things I like about World of Warships. Unlike tanks, where a really good tanks player sometimes can just carry away with it, in ships you can't. And it's just the raw number of shells. You know, it's not like tanks where you can just ricochet every single shell. Like, damage is going to happen consistently and really start building up. And the destroyers, because this is a low skill captain, I don't have some of those advantages like stealth firing that I have in my American line. Eventually I will, and when I do, a game like this would be that much easier to try to help contribute. But I still managed 55,000 to the Bismarck, 11,500 to the Farragut, 4,100 to the Bliskovica, 21,000 and a bit to the Gneisenau, and 13,000 to the Qckslvrslash. And the reason we all own premium ships is really to make money. After repairs and consumables, 382,000 credits, really healthy chunk of change, 3,200 XP, and 4,300 for a commander that unfortunately probably won't have any other ships to ever end up in, but still a really fun ship to drive, and I'm glad I got it before it was removed from sale. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Just a reminder that if you go check out my video from yesterday, follow the instructions. I'm giving away a Smith to celebrate hitting 100 subscribers, and all you gotta do is comment on the video. I'd prefer if it was a constructive comment, but go check that video out. You can figure out how to enter, and someone will get a tier 2 premium DD that I always have enjoyed driving. And as always, I'll have another one for you guys tomorrow.